So we got married in May of 2023.
On a beautiful ranch outside in the freezing cold, and it was hailing beforehand and pouring rain. But then right as the ceremony started, the sky opened up, the sun shone, and it was absolutely lovely.
I had these huge aspirations of providing for my bride and wanting to give her the life of her dreams. And obviously you picture the white picket fence and the new cars and all the fun furniture and all the things that you get to do starting a life together.
Traveling is huge for me. I was like, we can make so many memories while we're young before we have kids. For the One was 6 months after we got married.
I remember when I first heard about For the One, how I like to describe it is I was shot out of a cannon, just so excited. Just, mental health and the fight against mental illness is so near and dear to my heart. I just have been clinically diagnosed with a lot of things in my life. And so to hear that the church that I was a part of was ready to make an impact in that area. I remember walking Emma around Mayberry Park and I was like, Grace Church's about to change the world. This is gonna be amazing. We're gonna fix everything. I was so excited.
I remember that conversation I was immediately interested in, and I was like, we have to drop everything and just pursue this because Reno needs it.
Obviously, we're both at the entry levels of our careers, and so I was like, we'll volunteer a lot, we'll put our time in. I'm a staff member, so I'm around all the time anyways, and I'll just kind of be a verbal spokesperson for the One. I just remember getting on my knees next to our bed and just praying and asking God what he wanted us to do, and he gave me a number. To be honest, I was like, no, that's not right, and just kind of pushed that to the wayside and woke up the next morning and I just still felt that soft whisper of a nudge of a number that I felt like we were led to. And I honestly kept it to myself for a few weeks because I was very scared of the reality that would have meant for our marriage, that it was a number where we would have had to put a lot of things on pause that we initially wanted. It would have meant waiting these 2 years to start saving up for a house, to go on these extravagant vacations, to start a family. I remember there was one specific night that we were in our home group and a couple from our home group was talking about, they used the verbiage, a legacy of generosity. And they were talking about how their grandfather and her father had just left this legacy of generosity that had caused them to have such an impact in their lives of being generous to others. And I just remember sitting there feeling so convicted by the Holy Spirit of just thinking of Emma and I's future family and our kids and just asking that question of, if we had kids right now, would we be showing them that same legacy? And the truth is, outside of just serving and giving our time, the honest answer to that question was no. And so we were driving home that night, and that's when I finally told Emma the number that I feel like God had put on our heart for the One.
Jack goes, so what do you think we should give to For the One? And I was like, what do you think? And it's kind of the nervous tension of this number I'm about to say is huge, and he's gonna be like, I don't think we can do that. But yeah, our numbers, they were almost the same number, and I was like, all right, his was a little bit bigger, so I was like, that's God pushing me a little bit farther. For me personally, it was a lot of praying and being like, God, obviously For the One is happening now for a reason, and we are our age for a reason too. And so this is something that we can have an impact in. Initially, I would fight with God on no, the number should be smaller. Let's be logical about this. Let's go through our expenses and then give the rest. But he was like, no, I'm first, and this needs to be first. But it was a really neat experience to have both sought after God in our own different ways, separately, and then to come together and be like, it's the same number for two separate people, and we hadn't really talked about it before then. For the first few months, it was okay. I didn't feel the strain of it personally. I was like, we'll just keep living like we're living and hope for the best. But recently, especially, it's been hitting harder just because now we have to say no to a lot of things.
When you see that number leave the bank account, every couple of weeks, it's always that reality check of man, we're really doing this and we're really committed. And 6 months ago, if God would have dropped this huge blessing in our laps, our first response would have been, oh, let's go buy the tickets, let's go on the trip. And now whatever God does in our future, whatever he blesses us with or whatever he doesn't bless us with, I'm very confident that whatever that is, we're going to steward and we're going to steward it well.
If we can be faithful with the little he's given us, then when we have kids or when we're serving in the community, we can be faithful with his people. And I want to continue to just follow him, even though it might be hard.
Obviously, reaching the halfway point, we have to ask ourselves that question of, are we going to finish well? Are we going to stop? Are we going to give less? It was when we were kind of at one of our low points of looking at the spreadsheets and looking at the budget and just really asking that question, are we really able to keep this up for a whole nother year? I just remember feeling so strongly in my spirit that stopping is a non-negotiable for me, that we're not going to do it.
If we stop now, we're giving up on God's plan for us, God's future for us. And all these things that I thought I wanted coming into marriage are just things that could take away from our relationship with God. Whereas now all of that can go towards him and furthering his kingdom in Reno. And I think that's just so cool.
One of my biggest motivators of why I do ministry is that I want to be for others what I wish I had, and that we get to be that light for people, that it doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your background, doesn't matter your income, that you can give in a generous way and that you can give in a sacrificial and radical way. We're just confident in the commitment that we made and that God's going to carry us through.